Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we're excited that you guys have joined us again. I know it's been a bit since we've been here. Got so many things to tell you, as usual. And I'm sure you're really wondering why this show is called This Broke My Heart. Dr. Lewis has decided that he would like to go on air and tell his story, which is partially my story too. It just didn't happen to me, but it could have. So, Dr. Lewis, why do you want to call this show This Broke My Heart?
Really, I wanted to call it My Husband's an Idiot, but I Still Love Him. But Janet said no on that. That's not exactly what she said. She prefaced that with heck no.
Because your wife's not an idiot, and I didn't want to be in that title. So,
well, you married me.
Okay.
Well, the point is, we have so many of you people that listen to me in spite of my Texas drawl, which abhors me. But I take lots of supplements. And I believe in them, and we go through all kinds of convoluted inside out to get the right ones at the best price. But I'm pretty bad about just showing up and shooting from the hip. Y'all kind of know that. And
we're almost like a mechanic, right? It's like we're really great at fixing other people's cars, but sometimes ignore our own.
Yeah, I used to go to court. They'd pay me big bucks to go testify in court, and I wouldn't study because I love embarrassing the hell out of insurance companies, attorneys. But anyway, I didn't target things that I kind of sort of knew I needed to target, and I'm like everybody else. I'm just cheating a little bit when I'm eating that Hershey bar or ice cream or whatever.
And how long had it been since you've done your last lab?
4.5 years, and you've gone 5 years.
Okay, so I'm not saying that you did better. I'm
trying to divert the attention off me. But anyway, I screwed around and had a heart attack. So the point is, folks, that I understand the world's gone through some really difficult times, and people, the inflation, and that includes the supplements too. Some people have a tendency to drop out, and then others, double down and go for it. And
anyway,
I don't know how deep you want to get into this heart attack thing.
Well, what basically we've been extremely stressed. Brandy was our right hand, and she's not been here for quite some time now, even though she still works with us remotely, but not physically in the store, which is a lot of work. And we were under tremendous stress, and and all those things going on in the country's not really helping it either. And so we just kept taking everything we always knew to take, which was, I took half the store. I mean, it wasn't like we weren't taking anything.
That's why she's good looking.
Well, we were taking lots of stuff. Well, we just are joining, or we're partnering now with a triple board certified pain management doctor. And because of that, we decided we'd run our lab and see what was going on and see what she thought about our lab. Because, you need an authority figure. And so we had run it. And it had been about 2 weeks prior to Dr. Lewis's heart attack that we had the results back. Both of our labs we should have been spanked over because they were bad. And if we had run that yearly, we would have caught it in time. But we thought we knew a lot about supplements, and if you're taking this, and I was on it once, it had to be good from now on. Well, if we would have seen our lab before that happened, we would have targeted it differently. And we had just started exercising again, walking, and this happened over Labor Day, right after Labor Day weekend. Had a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and then Dr. Lewis didn't fare so well because he had the heart attack. And
loud noises increase your risk of heart attack. And when I ignored it I didn't ignore it. I was taking capsicum, stромphanthes, nattokinase, vitamin E, magnesium like crazy, and capsicum.
Are you talking about during the heart attack?
Yeah, I got up about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't tell my wife a lot of things because I don't want to worry her. She's already stressed out, and good thing she didn't yell at me because loud noises increase.
Well, what did you feel exactly? How did you know you were having one? Because didn't it happen? You say it happened in the middle of the night.
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of nonspecific. It just, you kind of cough there's a reflex that tries to lower your chance of, put your heart back in rhythm.
I heard you had jaw pain, arm pain, some.
I've had jaw pain, arm pain for years, and I don't know if that's musculoskeletal because of the stupid stuff I did. The heart attack hurt worse than than getting shot. And while I was in the hospital, and I got up about 2 o'clock. So about 3:30 that afternoon, Janet.
Hold on.
Oh,
this
God.
was in the morning, right? You had this. So what Dr. Lewis is missing the point here on what I'm trying to get him to say.
Purposely.
He decided to come to work the whole day first and just told me he didn't feel good. But I knew something wasn't right with him because we have a product in here called liquid capsicum. And what it is, it's for open wounds. And we pour it on open wounds to help them heal because it does sear them together. Well, Dr. Lewis started drinking it straight at our house.
Because it's a vasodilator.
And I was like, are you sure you're supposed to do that? He goes, this makes me feel good. And I thought, this is really weird.
So does bourbon, but
Yeah.
I didn't drink it.
and I thought he didn't look right, but of course he had not been informing me of the stuff that happened the night before. So, I gave him magnesium. We'd always heard that if you opened a capsule of magnesium and put it in your lip and let it dissolve there, that it would stop a heart attack. We were trained that way. We didn't know if it worked because we've never been around anybody that's having an actual heart attack. But I was giving them to Dr. Lewis all day long, off and on, and he was drinking this liquid capsicum.
And we're not saying don't go to the hospital,
No,
don't have a
no.
cardiologist because you need to.
Yes, I'm just saying when you're thinking, oh, hey, these supplements don't work. Yeah, they kind of really did because the story gets really good after this. So anyway, at about 3:30, he asked me if I'll drive him to the emergency room. So we went to the emergency room. The doctor there said, put him on some machines and said, are you sure he's having a heart attack? Because it's not really showing. And I said, well, he is. I've been giving him magnesium, so it's probably slowed it down. He goes, you've done what? And I said, magnesium. And he goes, oh, well, then we're going to need to run a magnesium test because he's probably overdosed on it. I said, oh, dear Lord. I said, no, he's not. I said, I'm just trying to save his life.
Well, I'm always trying to be Joe Cool and make their life better and their boring, stress-filled shift better. I said, no, if you get overdose of magnesium, I'd be pooping in my pants. And it got worse and worse and worse. And Janet said, aren't you supposed to give him nitro like in the movies? He said, well, I've got procedure I've got to go through, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And
Meanwhile, they finally decide he's having a heart attack because our capsicums wore off, and they give him the nitro and morphine. And on that, he still has a 212 over something blood pressure.
165 or something like that.
Something crazy high. And I'm thinking, God told me outside he was going to be fine. So I knew he was. I thought, we'll just get this done. He'll be done. Well, cardiologist came in super nice, says, we're going to take you back to surgery. If it all goes well, we'll go through your wrist. You do have a blockage. So he said, we're going to go and try to put a stent in. And so then they decided that there was a man that had come in ahead of him that was really bad, like near death.
Yeah, he coded.
Yeah, he did code. So they took him ahead of Dr. Lewis. So Dr. Lewis had to wait 2.5 more hours to get into the surgery room, which made him start having more problems.
It's because he says it in a calm tone of voice. If he says it's a 10, it's a 10. And I said, have you ever heard this song, everybody wants to see Jesus, but nobody wants to go now?
Right. And so 2.5 hours later, anyway, the cardiologist come out and said, we saved the other guy. And so they took Dr. Lewis back and they said, we're on a roll today. He's going to be fine. Dr. Lewis was back to 35 minutes and they were done with him. They were able to go through the wrist. He had one blockage. It was 100% blocked. He did get a stent and a balloon, which my brother calls party favors. But the rest of the arteries were not blocked at all. But the one that was blocked was to his lung, which was to his brain. So he was not. He wasn't thinking real clearly for a little while. So.
Under the second shot of morphine to decrease the pain, I said, well, no, I'm not going. Yeah, I'll renew my vows, even though I've never, broken them. But yeah, I will.
So
it make you goofy.
So anyway, it all went well. Somehow it got out all over Longview. I do not know how that he'd had a heart attack while he was having a heart attack in our small town here. I know how celebrities must feel on some very small scale.
We were getting text, phone calls, and emails before I even got to the 10 out of a 10 in pain. And, anyway.
But anyway, people all knew about it. And Dr. Lewis really wasn't sure if what he wanted to say because, we run a natural health store. And when you've gone through something like that, you partially feel like, well, you failed. You're telling all these people to do this stuff, and you failed. Well,
please note the supplements didn't fail.
Yes.
I failed to pay attention to it.
And the other part is we're all human, and things are going to happen to you. And sometimes it's just genetic, and sometimes, you're slowing things down or not doing anything by speeding something up. So you can't stop everything, but you can slow it down. So for about 2 weeks there, he was kind of like, I don't really understand. I took all the stuff. Well, then we went back for his checkup with the cardiologist. And the cardiologist, when he was in the hospital, told him absolutely no, and no to any kind of supplement he would ever think about taking because they wanted him on drugs. And we're not saying the drugs are bad. We're just saying
the side effects I cannot live with.
Yes. We're just like, oh, this is not good. And then they took things away that made him feel better, like fish oil and turmeric and weird things. But when he got in to have his checkup, they did an EKG on him and said, I don't know what you did, but you have absolutely no scar tissue to your heart and no permanent damage. Which we knew God was not done with the story then because the supplements we had given him stopped it. So the whole moral of the story here is, and why we're on here today, is to tell you don't ignore your health. Don't assume just because you are a patient of ours and have been for many years and are buying the better supplements that you don't need yearly lab because it is extremely important. At this point, we're going to be doing ours every 6 months for a while to make sure everything is better. And then we're also, because of the way this is, what happened, we've decided to put our labs on sale. And we have made a couple of cardiac panels because of Dr. Lewis. So you can thank him for that.
Or curse me.
But we're giving 10% off the labs, and some of you guys don't listen right away, so I apologize. But hopefully you're listening right away because this is only good until the end of November 2023. But it's 10% off if you buy it online. You can put in the code word HEALTH, HEALTH, and get yourself checked. We don't care which panel you pick, but if you have heart problems in your family or suspect you're having an issue of some sort, pick the cardiac panel. So, Dr. Lewis, how would you like to educate us about what people need to know? What do you wish you'd have done different? What do you wish you'd have known? What do you wish you'd have taken more of?
So many times, and again, I never use names because I don't want everybody in Longview. We had people from Hugh Springs to Houston that knew about this before I was even gone into surgery, which is, I'm glad you care that much, but, quieten it down. Anyway, I tell the story about a dear, dear friend of mine that knew she had a high CRP, and she ignored it for 4 years, had a heart attack, and she always had money for beer, cigarettes, and marijuana, but she never had money for supplements, and she's had massive problems and died now. Wonderful, wonderful person. And, I wasn't guilty of ignoring it. I was guilty of not looking for it. And
we thought, because in Texas this year, it has been extremely hot during the summer. I mean, like 106, 110, just unbearable. And we knew he was having trouble getting air, maybe is a good way to say it. He just looked fatigued a lot.
She said I looked like a guppy out of water or carp.
I thought maybe this is what getting older looks like. And
Carps are ugly, and she was calling me a carp. No, here's the deal. There's a scripture in the Bible, I think it's out of Proverbs, that says a wise man foresees danger and takes precautions. Well, apparently I wasn't wise. But a simpleton or a fool ignores this and suffers the consequences, and that's out of Proverbs. So, look it up. So the toxic environment, I've talked about polluted air raises blood pressure. My blood pressure's always been sky high. I always tease when a mosquito bites me, it blows his butt out because it's, so the blood pressure is so high. Toxic air affects the heart through the olfactory nerve, raises norepinephrine, and let's see. And I'm looking through some research and notes that I've made. I've read thousands of research articles. Environment inflames endothelium. Well, guess what? Janet says our Dyson air purifier, which is over where I sit by the couch, she said, God, they must be dropping chemtrails on us.
Well, see, Dyson, which I have this humidifier deal, every year it seems like in December it's suddenly due, like it says it's full. You never know if these things are true. But the filter is extremely high. And so I think, well, are they just setting me up for buying another filter every year? And that filter has been running in our house since we moved in there a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it had been on low, like it was...
Like the particulates in the air was low.
Yeah, and because it was interrupting the volume on my TV, and I thought, what is wrong with this thing? It just keeps being higher. And then the bearings, I guess, started squealing in our air conditioner about 2 months ago. Dr. Lewis said, I think that's bearings on there going out. Well, I noticed when that started happening, the Dyson air filter went up to critical levels, and I thought, well, that's probably a fluke, and it's getting close to December. We're getting a new filter. But ironically, we had to have our inside unit replaced on our air conditioner during all this also. But the minute it happened, the Dyson went back down to no noise at all.
So we were inhaling Freon. That's why I talked to you about the environment, and toxic air affects the heart through the olfactory nerve. And here's the other thing. I'm going to get into some specifics here in a minute, but and I told my cardiologist, which I very, very much like, I was lucked out because the hand of God always is on me. He was a good guy. But they said, no, and heck no, don't take any homeopathics, nothing, no vitamins, no minerals. And I'm like, I told him, I said, I'm going to submit to authority because I came in asking for your help. And I said, I appreciate you saving my life. He said, I didn't save your life, God did, which made me like him even more. But then it talks about coenzyme Q10 is an energy fuel for your heart. Statins deplete coenzyme Q10. Then you got L-carnitine. I love our L-carnitine. It's supplementation of L-carnitine after a heart attack increases the survival rate and makes it much less likely that you'll suffer a second heart attack. Magnesium relaxes arterial walls, reduces blood pressure, makes it easier for the heart to pump blood. Niacin will lower your triglycerides, and the bad kind, the LDLs, and most specifically the VLDLs. Omega-3s, they said, no, hell no, don't take omega-3s. And it's like, well, we got the good fish oil. It's 3 times more absorbable. And
you've gone back to adding 2. And I know the bottle says 1, but if you're a cardiac risk, you really ought to consider doing 2 of them.
They show me the research says 1's good, so Dr. Lewis takes 2. Okay? There's a reason for that.
And we've added, because since Dr. Lewis's incident, we've added back in our CoQ10 300 milligram.
And I can tell a difference when I take it.
That's
with energy.
A huge thing for people with heart issues at all, or heart problems.
And you got Nattokinase, which is a clot buster. Other supplements, and I'm taking them all now, is vitamin C, curcumin, resveratrol, and different flavonoids, and polyphenols, which would be quercetin and bromelain. So that's the general, and this is out of a book research, one of the best things you can do is called Nitric Oxide Revive. And it's like, there's other reasons you should take it, but it's a time-released L-arginine.
Doesn't work on women, though, just on men, right? I mean, for other reasons you should take it. It does work on heart stuff for women.
Well, it decreases the inflammation of the endotheliums, which means less likely to clot. And then you get a better blood flow to areas. Nitric oxide is what makes Viagra work. You've heard me say that. Does it work on women?
No.
Well, sometimes when you get other things engorged, it makes things a lot better. So Nitric Oxide Revive has massive cardiovascular circulatory benefits, but it also helps detoxify ammonia, hormone secretion, and immune health. Okay, this is a good one, and it's been real popular amongst the people taking it. Coenzyme Q10 is really, really good. It plays a major role in energy production, which is ATP.
There is one thing we want to say about Dr. Lewis. It's heart attack, because I know half of you out there are wondering, and we would wonder ourselves, so we're just going to put it to bed. Did he do a jibby jab? No, he did not. It was not any jibby jab related.
They asked me in the hospital, did you get this vaccination? I said, oh, hell no. A bourbon shot. And they said, did you take the shingle shot? I said, oh, hell no, bourbon shot. Did you get your flu shot? I said, bourbon shot. Now, here's the thing. Also, I'm trying to be a little bit rough and tough, because if I don't, I'll cry.
He is sensitive, too, after this, so sometimes I have to talk for him.
Yeah, the lady at the hospital, I talked about the major HIPAA non-compliance there. She called me later, and she said, how you doing? Are you having... And it's real common to have depression after heart attacks and other things. I said, well, I came to you mad as a wet hen, and now I'm crying like a woman in a Lifetime movie. So I said, I'm doing fine. Just forget about the HIPAA non-compliance. And I said, you saved my life. Good God, I'm happy. There's another thing in Proverbs that says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. So I'm sorry I don't some days, but, you kind of have to get over the crying like a woman in a Lifetime movie.
But the other thing we wanted to mention also, we told you or sort of told you we're going to get more into another podcast about this when we have the actual steps to do it. But we're now, because we're partnered with a triple board certified MD. She's also a board of pain medicine, and she's also certified in the Academy of Cosmetic Surgery. So she's got lots of certifications.
And she's real easy to talk to. She will put your spirit at peace. Now, this only includes 5 states where she's licensed.
Yeah, we're going to offer integrated medical and nutrition services in, of course, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, New York, and West Virginia. People that are doing the nutrition and the supplements that we put them on will also be offered, if Dr. Lewis sees fit for you, the ability to talk to her about semaglutide shots. The compounding pharmacies will send it directly in the mail to you, because it turns out that semaglutide shots can actually help reduce your rate of heart attack by up to 20%, and also kidney problems up to 20%.
And again, as I've said a million times, it depends on what research you read, because there's plenty of research that says, well, if you do this, you decrease your chance of heart attack 50 to 75%, like just taking a good vitamin E. Most of it's not. But yeah, there's so many things. And I want you to understand that, this may be a hodgepodge of information. I'm sorry about, getting weepy on you. But, the fact that you started with us in the first place means that there are hope in your heart that you can change, or we can help you change. This is true in our experience, even when the family members are not aware of it, but it helps if you have the family support. So your presence here is a reflection of your hope, and believe at some level that you're capable of change. And I told the guy, I said, I don't mind dying. I don't mind seeing Jesus, but today's not a good day because, frankly, I could have checked out. My spirit was right there. And I said, the last 25 years with Janet's been kind of a lot of fun, and I think I'm good for another 25 years. And that's the reason I chose to live. It was that close. And, now I'm fine. Yeah, y'all quit worrying about me. My friends are still calling and texting. I said, but it hurt way, way worse than getting shot. It kind of surprised me. But, 2 days later, I was back in the office.
Yeah, and people would go, I won't tell anybody, Dr. Lewis. And I thought,
BS stands for bacon sandwich and belief systems.
There was a game we used to play when we were kids called Rumors, or I think it was Rumors or something, where you told something, and by the time it got back to somebody else, oh my God, they might as well have been on fire. So we thought we'd just come on here and let him tell you it himself. He is fine, but I believe in my heart, without a doubt, that he went through this experience because it came into play right at the time we integrated with this medical doctor. And
she's easy to talk to. Y'all people that will qualify to see her, you'll love her.
But Dr. Lewis, because of the way he lost his dad under medical care, or his perception of it because he was a young kid, has never been a great fan of it. And there is a time and a place for all of it, not just part of it. That they need to save your life. You need to be down there. You don't need to wait. And we've seen several people decide to wait, and that's not a great outcome. So I think maybe Dr. Lewis's journey was about him marrying the medical stuff to the nutrition, so that you guys get a better outcome. And I know he didn't think he was going to live, but God told me when it happened he would. So
I didn't say that. I said I had a choice.
Oh, yeah, he did have a choice, but I knew his choice he was going to make before he chose.
Janet's always known more about my opinion than I know. Y'all know that. So, I'm sorry, this podcast didn't turn out exactly the way we wanted. We had all kinds of signs and symptoms and a lot of other research, but who knows? Was it the Freon? Was it this? Was it that? Was it because I was eating too much candy? Because during the stress, my drug of choice is sugar. Caffeine's number one. Alcohol's a distant third, but I've cut the sugar out and most of the alcohol. So 8 days after the heart attack, I said, hey, baby, do you think it'd be okay if I had a drink? She said, well, you're 8 days older than you would have been. So, yeah, go ahead and celebrate. But I've never drank much as far as volume, never. But, folks, it is so much. We saw a bill. It's not mine yet, but this lady had a bill for a stent, $158,000. Do you know what 20% of that is? It's almost $32,000. You can buy a whole lot of supplements for years and years and years and years and years for that. So, folks, let's make a wise choice so that while we're here, we can be as healthy as we should be, as healthy as we can be. Trouble is, in East Texas, most of us rednecks take better care of our truck than we do the temple of the Holy Spirit. So maybe it's time we kind of changed our priorities, and I'll be the first to say I should have.
Hey, but the supplements did work too, so it wasn't like you weren't doing anything, and we kind of knew how to slow it down for a while. So, that magnesium under the lip does really work.
Yeah, and why are the rest of the coronary arteries 100% clear? The supplements didn't fail. I failed. And, it's my responsibility, and I admit it reluctantly. However, since everybody and their damn dog knows it, I got a text yesterday from Midland, Texas. Well, good God, that's 500 miles away, saying, well, I was told in confidence. It's like, well, yeah, that's 17 steps past. Anyway, here's the thing. Yes, I'll talk about it now. Yes, I want you to take good care. I love you guys that are very consistent with what you do, and thank God there's a lot of them, and the lives have been improved. But maybe we should get successful. So, I'm going to go ahead to the inspirational part that Janet usually asks me about, and then she can follow up with whatever she wants. Success in your life or in your health requires people, so choose wisely, whether that's choosing Janet and me or whether it's choosing a spouse that's supportive. The atmosphere you're in will create the health that you have or the health that you want. Don't be careful. Be bold. Don't be stupid like I was. Be wise. I missed the wise part. Are you a viewer or a doer? Good question. Your thought life controls the rest of your life, what you think and what you speak. And that's why I said keep corrupt talk from your lips. That's negative talk. And I'm preaching to me. So, y'all be blessed. We will help you in whatever way. Take advantage of the 10% off because, believe it or not, that really is a big deal. And we can do more to get you healthier, to increase your energy level, make your life happier because you feel better physically. It spills over in your mental and your physical, your spiritual life.
And deep down inside, you do know whether or not you feel at your peak or not. I knew I wasn't at my peak, and I thought, it'll pass, it'll be fine. My lab numbers actually looked worse than Dr. Lewis's. And whenever the heart attack happened for him and that machine was going off in the background of his room after his surgery, I called one of our practice management nutritionists and talked to him, and he said, "You had the heart attack, didn't you?" I said, "It wasn't me. It was Dr. Lewis." So in your gut, you're not right. So if you've not done your lab recently, this is a great opportunity to do that. It's coming up toward the end of the year. A lot of you guys have health savings account money you have not used, so it'd be a good opportunity to get yourself back in peak condition. And we appreciate you listening to our show. Again, the code word is HEALTH, HEALTH. It's all lowercase letters for the coupon. It is good until the end of November, and it is just on the lab. And if you've not done our lab, go to greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey. It'll direct you, or should direct you, to the correct panel. And if you don't like that, Dr. Lewis is really good about calling people and talking to them as well. And Dr. Lewis has one final thing to say.
You were born to live big, to love, to create, and to really express the miracle that you are. And I've got one thing to say about miracles. Miracles are not contrary to nature, but only contrary to what we know about nature. So take that action and let's create a miracle.
And we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.